unshakable spirit, stories of compassion and wisdom. And today's story is number 78. No one in this world seeks to do good more than I myself, said the Buddha. Shockingly, the Buddha's disciple Aniruddha nodded off one day in the middle of a sermon. When the sermon was over, Shakyamuni summoned him and asked quietly, "What is your purpose in seeking the way of Buddhism?" "It is to resolve the crucial matter of birth and death," answered Aniruddha without hesitation. "Though you were brought up in a wealthy home, you are firm in purpose. Why then did you nod off?" Deeply moved by the Buddha's compassionate reproach, Aniruddha begged his forgiveness and swore never to sleep again as long as he lived. Sure enough, from that day on, he devoted himself to ascetic practice without sleeping. When prolonged lack of sleep began to affect his eyesight, Shakyamuni told him, "You must be like the string of a lyre," the musical instrument, "that is taut when it should be taut and loose when it should be loose. Excessive effort leads to regret, while laziness gives rise to blind passions. It is best to take the middle way." Although told by a doctor that sleep would cure his eyesight, Aniruddha continued to observe his vow with firm determination until in the end he went stone blind. This was truly a selfless act undertaken at the risk of his very life. In the process, he gained a profound inner eye and went on to become one of the Buddha's top 10 disciples. The day after he lost his eyesight, Aniruddha was trying unsuccessfully to thread a needle to mend his worn-out robe. He called out, "Would someone seeking to do good please thread this needle for me?" A voice replied, "I would like very much to do it." It was none other than Shakyamuni Buddha himself. Amazed, Aniruddha replied in awe, "But you have achieved all goodness and virtue." The Buddha answered, "Even though one has attained the enlightenment of a Buddha, there is no reason to neglect small acts of good. No one in this world seeks to do good more than I myself." Okay, very good. This is one of my favorite stories in this book, which maybe I can summarize 2 points from this lesson here. So the first point is about the difficulty of ascetic practices that many Buddhist monks or disciples used to engage in order to fight against their blind passions and eliminate them. Because if we think about why we suffer in life, a lot of our sufferings, on the surface at least, it comes from one of those blind passions. Because we cannot get what we want, we are upset about something, we have frustration, all of them goes back to one of the blind passions. So part of reaching enlightenment the hard way was to fight against these blind passions, to have them eliminated. So just like Aniruddha tried not to sleep. Yeah. So for us too, right now, joining this recitation meditation, it's 6 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah, we have to fight against our desire for sleep. That's actually very virtuous. In order to listen to the Dharma, any hardships we go through we will feel rewarded completely at the end. So that's very important to to kind of face or confront our blind passions, because otherwise we develop laziness. Yeah. And if we put in excessive effort, then that leads to regret. Obviously, we don't want to lose our eyesight. Um, yeah. But if we are too kind to ourselves and yielding to our blind passions too much, then we become lazy. So we need to find that middle way by listening to Buddhism, uh, overcoming hardships such as our desire for sleep or this or that. We will find that middle way. So that's something important to learn, that the more we fight against these blind passions, the more we can gain that inner eye to see the truth. So truth is not obvious to people who don't practice selflessness and yeah, did such a strong determination. And then the second point that really touched my heart is um, yeah, especially maybe in Pure Land Shin Buddhism, some people misunderstand the teaching um, because self power is something that is disparaged and we need to let go of. So some people misunderstand it, thinking that, oh, we don't need to practice good deeds. But actually, that's a big misunderstanding. As we read in the story, Buddha, who had reached all goodness and virtue, which also teaches us in Buddhism, this path, spiritual path, has a point of completion, a point of achievement or accomplishment. It's not a circular path where we keep seeking and seeking and going round and round the same circle. It does have a point of completion. But even Buddha, who had achieved all goodness and virtue, had reached that completeness. He said that's no reason to neglect small acts of good. Because if a person truly understands the law of cause and effect, every seed we plant, it will bring about the fruits accordingly. So there is no reason to neglect small acts of good. And Buddha was an embodiment of that compassion and wisdom and shows us through his own example how um, he was seeking to do good um, in a way that no one could compare to his um, determination and effort and level of compassion. So we can imitate that compassion of the Buddha and go forward together until we experience the happiness that holds us fast, never to abandon us. So good job, everyone, for being here. Today is Tuesday. We have 30 minutes left of the advanced group session, and have a beautiful Tuesday. Bye.